Hey friend, listen, they told me you out here bothering these people trying to figure out the three most important things when drafting your picture book manuscript. So after hearing all the rumors about you, what I said, don't you worry about what I said. Let me finish my little spiel here. After hearing about all the rumors and you going around submitting your manuscript, I just wanted to give you something that's going to help you. The three things that you should consider when you are writing your manuscript so that you can get past that first look. Now, this video is not guaranteed that you are going to land a deal. It's not a guarantee that the work is going to resonate with an editor or an agent. It's just a guarantee that you will have a solid foundation and basis for what a picture book needs to have in it, what your manuscript needs to have whenever you submit. And these rules are applicable to all of your manuscripts. It's a tried and true. In fact, you should fold these things into your practice. Got it? Friend, now after this video, now I don't want them talking about you the way that they talk. Oh, I'm just saying. All right. My name is K.E. Lewis. I am award-winning children's author of Never Take Your Rhino on a Plane and Because of Dads. And in this video, we are going to talk about the three things that you need to consider and that I always relay to other picture book writers whenever you are constructing or crafting your picture book manuscript. So, the very first thing is a strong or compelling opening. And I know you hear that all the time, but I'm actually going to tell you what a strong and compelling opening means. So a strong and compelling opening means that within the first 60 words, you should have led with your protagonist's name. We should know some motivations and desires of your protagonist. We should also get a hint of the setting where this story is based. And 4, we should actually have the problem or the conflict. And that usually takes place within the first 60 words. Usually. Again, all of this is general advice. There are some times where the rules are bent and it's not 60 words, maybe it's 80 words, but the closer you get to the 60, the better, because that means that your opening is really, 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 really tight. So, first 60 words, those 4 things. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first one is from my favorite book, which is a classic called The Dot. And we're only going to read the first 4 spreads because that's all you have. You only have 4 pages to get to all of those things that I just said. So, The Dot, written and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds. I want you to look for those things as we are reading too now. The Dot. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. All right, we got the character's name within this first sentence. Your protagonist's name needs to always be in that first sentence, and it needs to be the first name called. The focus of your book is your young protagonist. Your young protagonist is at the center and the hero. Whatever sentence you choose, it needs to center your main character. Other characters shouldn't come before your character. The focus and the gaze is on them. All right, page number 2. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm, she said. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. So again, motivations and desires. We're seeing a desire here. We're getting to get a peek into Vashti, and we know that she can't draw. We know that she's also reluctant here. That we get a chance to build her character within these first few spreads. And by the way, a spread is a complete set of pages in picture books. This is a page, this is a page, but both of these together create what we call a spread. All right, her teacher smiled. Just make a mark and see where it takes you. Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good strong jab. There. All right, we've only read the first 3 pages. We have our main character's name, like I mentioned earlier. We have some motivation and desire in here, and we also have some hints at the setting because we see words, although Peter Reynolds is an author illustrator, we see words like pencil and paper. We hear words like teacher, so we get some hint of the setting. We know we're in the classroom. And then we go to the next page, which is usually your turn, which is page number 4. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper towards Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." And then we go into this world of discovery of Vashti and her discovery of dots. So the first 4 pages, which are all 4 of those things: name, motivation, desire, setting, and also your turn, your conflict here, and some hint of where the story is going. And you got about 60 words to do that in a picture book. Let me show you another example from another book that I really love by a creator that I really love. In fact, 2 creatives that I really love. That Flag by Tamika Fry Brown and Nicholas Smith. So we're going to get through the first few pages of this, and you're going to actually see where, again, these things are evident in the opening. Strong, compelling openings. All right, That Flag. Bianca and I are almost twins. We're the same in so many ways. All right, so we got within that Bianca and I, so we do have our character here is speaking in first person. That's why her name is not first. But the person who she's talking about is also a main character who happens to be her best friend. We both have our hair in braids. We spend independent reading time together. We play Foursquare better than anyone in our class. We're inseparable. She's my best friend. All right, so we get to see some relationship building, some desire and motivation. These best friends who are love to spend a whole lot of time together. And we got Bianca here, and of course our main character Kiera, which we'll get to her name here on this spread. But only at school. I'm not allowed to go to her house. Conflict. Even though we live on the same street. Kiera, Mom says whenever I go outside, please stay where I can see you. Then she shoots a look that means, don't go anywhere near their yard. I know why. It's because of that flag. Again, we got a turn here. And then the thing about Tamika, she's so skillful in that it only took Tamika to the 3rd page to get to that spread. The opening is very, very tight. Not to say that Peter's not skillful, because he is too. But what I'm saying is that, again, going back to what I said earlier, is that these rules are general rules, but by the time you get to your 3rd spread, or the 4th spread, you really want to have a turn. You really want to be in the story. You want to establish motivation, conflict. You want to get a sense of place, which we already got a sense of place here, and the character's motivation and desires. We know that Kiera is good friends with Bianca at school, but not at home, and there is some tension there from the flag outside of the house and Kiera actually probably wanting to go play with her friend who she plays with in school, but not able to play with her at home. That sort of thing. So whenever you are writing a picture of a friend, I want you to consider those 4 things in your opening. So that's a strong opening. Hey, if you made it this far, that means you're serious about your craft and you're trying to understand the world of children's literature and how to break into kid lit. So you really should check out my resources at kelewis.world. Those resources will help you understand the industry, deepen your craft, and give you tools and tricks you'll find useful on your journey. If you are a teacher looking at this video, there are additional resources for you. See how I transform my books into engaging curriculum where you unpack the book and you get to explore literacy, math, science, and the arts. It's the perfect lesson plan for the day that you don't really feel like teaching, but also the ideal prep when preparing for a school visit. So run over to my site at kelewis.world and check out those resources. Now back to the conversation. 2, whenever you are considering picture books, you want to make sure that the world is changing in 2 ways. 1, there is your external world. What is happening outside of the character here? And then 2, your internal world, what's happening inside of the character. And every time something happens or the level of chaos rises in the external world, then the emotional depth or the level of frustration needs to be lower or needs to be more negative in the internal characters inside our character or in their internal world. So let me show you what I'm talking about. The best way to describe this, or the best way to talk about this, is through use of what we call the story arc, which you have the inciting incident, you have your momentum builders, and I'll tell you why I call them momentum builders instead of rising action here in a second. And then you have your climax and your resolution. Of course, your momentum builders, they're going up on this chart, but as they go up, something is happening inside your protagonist, or should be, because as the world around them are getting more chaotic, they're getting more frustrated, they're getting more sad, and so there's an opposite line happening in a different way. So imagine the kite, where you see the rise, and then there's a fall on the top half, and then on the bottom, you see the fall, and then there's a rise. And imagine the tip of that kite being the end of your story, where the world is right on its axis again. So as your character is going through trials in a conflict-based story, as your character is going through trials, the world is getting more chaotic on the outside. And then towards the end, the world is leveling back off. As those trials are happening, though, your character is feeling all these emotions on the inside. And so every beat, every time that your character goes through a trial, we actually need to get some sense of expression or understanding of how they're feeling in that moment. And you could tell us how they feel. It could come through dialogue. We could actually get some movement or an expression of how they feel, but there needs to be some display of how your character feels at each trial, after they have been defeated, and after each trial or scene of your picture book. Now, the reason why I called rising action, or what we know as rising action, as momentum builders is because we typically use that language when we describe books that have conflict. Well, what about books that don't have conflict? How do we treat them? Because they are also stories. How do we treat them? What do we do? How do we gauge the external, internal conflict, or get some type of challenge, like capture the challenge on the page? There is one book that does this really, really well. And no, I'm not her spokesperson, but she can run me a check if she wants to, because I have featured several of her books on this channel. But she's my good friend, Winsome Bingham, and in this story here, Soul Food Sunday. The thing about Soul Food Sunday is that there is no conflict. But as you look at this boy and his granny cooking dinner, they go through these different dishes, because we start off with what I think is like simple, because Granny is modeling each of these activities. I think we start and we go from simple activity, or what I think is simple, and then each activity progresses in difficulty as the child goes through dinner. And although there is no trial for the child, we get to get these senses of accomplishment as this child is being mentored or scaffolded through Sunday dinner. And at the end, we get to see that our protagonist here actually has the agency to prepare a dish all on his own, based on this behavior being modeled throughout the book. So think about if you are writing a story and there is no conflict, think about the actions that you are driving your character through and make those actions progressively more difficult. If there's a model there, like have that model there, but think about the order that you are placing each of your activities, because that will actually propel us forward and get us towards the end. So yeah, think about that as you are considering the world and how things are happening externally and things are happening internally in your world. Got it? All right. And the last thing, friend, is make sure that you don't leave the stove on. What I mean by that is make sure that you close all the loops in your story. Yes, you want to make sure that your protagonist ends up in a great situation at the end, that the ending is satisfying. But did you make sure that their friend had what they needed to? Did you open up a problem in the very beginning that you might not have cleared up just yet? You might want to go back, reread your manuscript, revise, and look at the characters, look at the problems that you introduced, and make sure all of them are tied up by the time you get to the conclusion. Because you might still have a story running around out there, a storyline running around out there that's not quite complete. So, if that was helpful, follow other videos on this channel. Please go to my website at kelewis.world. There you will find free resources for writers, aspiring writers. There are worksheets and guides and anything to get you started in writing stories. It's geared towards those who are seeking traditional publishing, but it is applicable to anybody because we tell great stories. And so whether you are traditionally published or self-published or even working in the museum space, go to my website, kelewis.world, hit subscribe, continue to follow me on this channel. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Peace.